Alright, welcome everybody. So lately I've been doing some looking at games on my Sega Genesis unit that are, you know, um, RAM hacks. RAM? ROM? Close enough. Who cares? ROM hacks. But today I want to do something a little bit different. Today I am on my original first build PC that I built to specs that I wanted. There has been one change inside the machine since then, but wasn't a huge change. But I'm on my FX83 system. I've done a few videos with that one now. But today I want to try out a couple, I guess, newer games to see how they run. Basically, what I'm looking at are Forza games. I have Forza 3, Forza Horizon 3, I should say, Forza Horizon 4, and Forza Horizon 5, all installed in this machine. Now, I do have an SSD in it. None of the games are on that because the SSD is just way too small. So all the games are on a spinning hard drive. So normal hard drive that all of us used way back in the past. So we got the FX83 system. The only change that I really made in the system since then, besides putting it all into a different case that I wanted, was I took my 980 GTX out of it. Originally put that in my wife's machine, which you can see lighting up back here behind me. Fortunately, she was having some issues with it, with the Edge Explorer doing some weird crap. So I decided to take my 1660 GTX out of my Ryzen 7, put that in her machine, and I put the 980 into a Ryzen 7 I have sitting over on this side of me that I also do recording on and playing games on. But inside the FX is a 970 GTX, still 4 gigs, so that's good. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of show you guys what is on the system because I'm actually recording on that one today. So let me minimize my face over here. I wonder how well that shows up on there. Slide off to the side. Alright, so like I said, let's open up system here. So you can see I'm on an AMD FX 8350 8-core processor, which if anybody's read anything on that, apparently this isn't really an 8-core, but whatever. Running at 4 gigs. I don't think I have it set to be overclocked at anything. I can check that in a second. 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is DDR3 running at 1600 megahertz, I believe, or however they say that. And then for the video card, just to show that I'm not lying here, go into the system information. Okay, as you can see too, I'll show that here again. Just said here you go, and NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970. It's got 4 gigs of DDR RAM, almost 4.1. Nothing overclocked on here. I do not run any overclocking software. As you see, my monitor says it's 120 hertz. I do have this paired with an MSI gaming monitor, 1080p, 165 hertz it can actually go up to, which I don't have it set for that right now. I have it set for 120, but it can go up to 165. If anybody's interested in knowing how you do that, I could show that. These are some of the other settings that I change, which I think these ones right here, instead of using default color, going to the NVIDIA color settings, makes the monitor look even better. But this is what I'm going to be running on. Like I said, I'm going to be testing Forza Horizon 3, 4, and 5. And just see what they can run at. So without further ado, let me go ready and get that set up to go. Alright, so as you can see, we are in right now Forza Horizon 3. I will show you guys the settings that I have set up for it in here, so give me a second here. Don't mind the picture up in the top. I totally screwed up the sound recording, so I'm just doing a voiceover real quick. But let me let the game get in here and show you what the settings were. Alright, so in the settings, I want it to be at 60 frames per second. I have everything set to high, except for the one right there. but I wanted the game to run on high to see if it could handle 60 frames or not. I do feel that Forza 3 on an FF86 system would be better at 30 to 40 frames per second. It would definitely run a lot smoother. But we're going for 60 here. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into this race. Not going to bore you with the full race or anything, just kind of give you an idea of how this does. Now I am on Blizzard Mountain because it is a little more taxing on the machine. And right now I'm holding about 40 frames a second. I go between about 40 to 50 while I'm in here. So that's why I said 40, 30 frames would be ideal for this game. Physically wise, it's running actually really good. So I have no complaints there. You know, I gotta admit, for the FX 8350 with a 970 GTX, this game actually does run pretty good. So I really can't complain. Let's see, is this where I mess up at? Yep, this is where I do a flip. Boom, 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 boom. Flippy, flippy. Gotta love the flippies. But yeah, pretty much it stayed about this frame rate the whole time. I didn't really see any stutters. I didn't have any rubber banding going on. So for the FX 8350, running at 4 gigs, this is actually playable. Now, depending on your terminology of playable, you might want to do it differently. I know I am not rewinding the game right there because I missed a checkpoint. That is not me rewinding. The game did it automatically. Yeah, we're going to go with that. The game did that by itself. Alright. But other than that, I want to give you an idea that, yeah, an FX 8350 can run this. You will have some issues like in where there's a lot of like buildings and stuff like that. It does have a tendency to get a bit slower, but if you set it at 30 frames, you should be fine if you're still running one of these systems. But with that, let's get ready to go over to Forza Horizon 4, where I will be running it with a benchmark only. Alright, so here we go. We're now inside Forza Horizon 4. And once again, like I said, sound was messed up, so that's why you don't hear any sound from the game. And don't mind the talking in the background again, up in the corner. But pretty much I'm just explaining that with Forza being done, Forza 3 being having to be redone 3 times, I just went with a benchmark on this game. But let's show you guys here once again, and I'm running this at 1080p, all settings on high that I could put at. There might have been one setting again that was on like a medium or something. But this is actually what both games defaulted at. The only thing I changed in Forza 3 was the MSAA. They had that on 4 and I was not about to try that. But you see 60 frames. Dynamic resolution is off. Move on over to here and high. Motion blur was on normal. Pretty much everything else on high. So we're going to go over to the benchmark and we're going to run that. Alright, so here we go inside the benchmark. Now I have to admit, Forza 4 surprised the heck out of me at these settings. So just wait until you see this end of the benchmark. As you can see in the beginning, I get a little bit of a stutter there at the beginning of the race, which is fine. But we are flying on down the road right now. We look like we are holding 60 frames pretty much. It does dip down a little bit here and there. But surprisingly enough, this thing will hold 60, which surprises me. And one of the other things I brought up too was if you're looking for a good arcade racing style game, something that is fun, these Forza games are a blast. Forza 3 you can no longer get, but Forza 4 and 5 are still on Steam. Steam's winter sale had Forza 4 down at $20 for the base game. Definitely worth that price. I did buy my games off of the Microsoft Store. That's where I buy them at, so that way I get them also on my Xbox. But as you can see, this is running great on the FX 8350. If I would have known that back before I built my first Ryzen system, I might have stayed on the FX for a while, especially with the way the graphic card crap is going. But as you can see, still got it going good. And yes, if you're wondering why I buy it off the Microsoft stores, I don't mind the Microsoft store, just so you guys are aware. But take a look at it. 60 frames was the target, 60 frames was achieved. I did have a few stutters there, and you can actually see them if you look at that orange line up at top. So I do get a few stutters. But yeah, for what this system is, that was amazing. So So let's move on to Forza Horizon 5. Alright, here we are in the last game, Forza Horizon 5. Now this game did kind of shock me a little bit when I ran the benchmark, but still no complaints with it. So, just like before, I'm running the game on high settings, 1080p. And once we get into the settings here, we'll get a chance to see that. It's loading in now. As you can see, 1080p, 60 frames, and all that. Now, last time I did hit 60 though, I used that resolution scaling. I did turn it on. I turned it off for this test. But that's fine. That just kind of showed me that the FX, or not the FX, the AMD fidelity thing actually works pretty good. But everything's on high. So now we're going to go into the benchmark here in just a second to show you guys what happens in there. Alright, let's start that benchmark. Alright, so now that we're in the benchmark, what I noticed here when I did the benchmark on this run, after I turned off the AMD's a chance at that DSLL that NVIDIA uses, they have that in Forza 5, and it does work on the 970 GTX. I stayed at a lower frame rate. The 30 inside where all these buildings are I can understand, but I will admit the fidelity thing from AMD does work pretty good in this game, especially on the older graphics card. I mean, it did hold me at about 60 last time. I'm not too big of a fan of those things unless it's really needed, and this game could definitely use it, or just drop it down to 30 frames and this game would run smooth as heck too, or even drop it down to medium. I am someone that I like the higher graphics. So even when I'm playing this stuff on my 360, yeah, I got this on the 360. Did you guys know that? Even when I'm playing this on my Xbox Series X or S or 1X, I have it set to 30 frames because I want the quality, not the performance. I can run the game at 30 frames and I'm fine. I like the game to look prettier, I guess would be a way to put it. But that's just how I like the games to look. But truthfully, when I was watching this, when I was playing it and watching the thing, it looked fine. Granted, you don't get any of the RTX in here, no reflections that way wise. That doesn't really hurt the game any. The game still looks beautiful. And like I said, it holds around 40 frames, 43 frames per second. Only had one stutter, which is not bad. Now, it's telling you on there suggested presets would be low. I would never go for that. I'd go to medium before I hit low. Like I said, I happen to like the better looking graphics. I can deal with 40 frames if I was stuck playing on an FX 8350. Especially if I didn't know it was that bad. That's the catch there. But alright, so I hope you enjoyed these videos. I did remove these 3 games from my FX 8350. Looking at possibly throwing Tomb Raider on this thing, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, see what I can get off of that. And I'm going to see if I get any other newer games I can try running on it. And we'll see how those benchmarks go. And I'll even benchmark those against my Ryzen 7 with the 980 GTX in it. I don't think it would be a fair fight if I did it with my Ryzen 9 with the 3080. That's just not a fair fight. So I do want to thank you guys for watching. 2 more videos will pop up, or 1 video will pop up in the lower left corner. The subscribe button will pop up in the lower right. If you decide to subscribe, go for it. If you like this video, click like, and I'll definitely make more of these too. Other than that, thank you for watching.